Excerpts from Passages About Earth by William Irwin Thompson. Imaginative artists like Blake could understand the collective condition of society because the imagination is the opening to what Jung called the collective unconscious. Precisely because this unconscious is collective, people can think the same thought at the same time, even though they are separated by ordinary space. No one blew a whistle in Europe and said, "Stop thinking neoclassically, start thinking romantically, in terms of primitives and nature." And yet the whole age did shift dramatically. Because we do not understand this process, we either ignore it or use terms like spirit of the age. Hegel would call it the zeitgeist, but whatever term is used, the radical implication is that human consciousness is not contained by the skull. In our physical sciences, we have long since gone beyond the 18th century notion of dead hunks of matter moving in the black void of space. Yet our psychological sciences are still restricted to 18th century mechanistic notions. Minds are simply located hunks of gray matter moving in the black void of time. One physicist tried to explain the phenomenon of the superconductor in terms of the incremental behavior of each electron. Repeated failure finally convinced them that the electrons were not an aggregate society, but a single gas, a de Broglie wave. In the superconducting society of electrons, when one electron is obstructed in the lattice, the others rush to pick it up and carry it in their path. Perhaps a superconductor can provide us with a more contemporary model of culture and human consciousness. Cosmically, mankind is a single de Broglie wave, or what Christians would call the mystical body of Christ. Behavioral psychologists, bringing up the rear with their dead mechanistic physics, would assert that culture operates only through social interactions. For them, space separates, and what does not touch physically or symbolically can have no effect. But the concept of space that behavioral psychologists take for granted has long since disappeared from physics. Even in non-relativistic frames of reference, physicists assert that all is energy and vibration, and that the solar wind reaches the limits of the solar system. When sun, moon, and earth line up in an eclipse, magnetic perturbances give us earthquakes. All of which sounds as if we have spiraled back on a higher level of order to the astronomy of Stonehenge, circa 1750 BC. If we can spiral back to the archaic world view, we can also spiral back psychologically to realize that the mind of man is a collective and impenetrating field.